Hello everyone, this is Lynn. I know it's been a hot minute since I've been out here, but I know most of you know my life has really changed since I moved in to take care of my parents. But anyway, I wanted to take a few minutes today, and I tried to prep as much as I could ahead of time so that I wouldn't take too long on the video. But I posted a card recently, and I really got the idea from somebody else on the Tim Holtz Addicts site. I believe her name was Wendy. And I just tried to kind of copy what she did and came up with, really this card is the one that most people were like, how did you do that? Will you make a video? So I was like, sure, I'll try to make a video out of it. And so I played around with it for a while and came up with some other ones, and I did them with different mediums just because I know folks have different things to work with. This one was actually done with Distress Oxide sprays. This one was, I believe, done with Distress stains. And this one was done with Distress spray stains also, but on this one I did the flowers a little bit differently. So I wanted to go ahead and show that one also. And so today I'm going to work with Distress Oxides because that's what I did with the first one. But you can do this with spray stains. You can do this, I did some like this, and I'm dying to put the card together. These are shimmer powders from Nuvo. I know not everybody has these. Oops, excuse me. So that's why I didn't want to do the video with these, but if you have these are really fun. And I'll just show you some of the backgrounds that, I don't know how, you probably won't be able to see it that well even though I have the light on. This is the shimmer powders that I put on this one and this one. And I don't like that one particularly. I think that's some oxides on that one. I just didn't really care for it. You know, oxides do that oxidation thing, and it's great on cards sometimes, but sometimes I just like a more pure color and not oxidized. But anyway, I love this one. I'm not going to do it now, but I will do it later and post it on the Stamper Swap site. So let's get started, and let me tell you what you'll need. So you'll need some type of color. Like I said, I'm going to use oxide sprays because I feel like that's what most people have, because you can buy those readily everywhere. You'll need a stamp. You don't have to have this particular stamp, but this is, sorry for all the light, Stampers Anonymous, Tim Holtz. This is Floral Trims that everybody's crazy about right now. That's what I'm going to use, but really, just you could use some kind of big open flower. Get one with leaves on it, because the leaves are one of the things we're really going to work on. But you don't have to use this one. This is just what I'm going to use today. You'll need some watercolor paper. You know my preference is Canson watercolor paper, so I've got a few sheets of that here. You'll need some sentiments. I went ahead and cut a few extra sentiments out. I'm trying to use these like encouragement cards because encouragement is just so important. I'm just blessed with great friends that have really kept me encouraged on this journey that I'm on right now with my parents. So I try to always keep a nice stash of encouragement cards around, just to let people know that I care about them, and I know that, you know, I can empathize with what they're going through, or at least sympathize with it. Water. Got my little water cup. I even cleaned it out for y'all. I'm going to use black paint to splatter with. If you don't like splatters, you don't have to do splatters. The other thing you'll need, what I used for the stamp, and I don't believe that the original lady did this, but I just prefer to do this. When I stamp the image onto the paper after it's dried, I like to stamp it in black, like VersaFine Clear, and then I heat emboss it with a clear embossing powder. You don't have to do that. You can just stamp it after and leave it with that, but I just like to have that raised edge. So if you want to do what I'm doing, then you'll need some clear embossing powder and a black ink pad. And I think that's it. And of course you'll want to pick some colors that can go around it. Like I put a light blue on this one, a peach on this one, and white on that. So really in that situation, it's just whatever you want. I'm not going to go that far with the card because I think you can fix your cards up, finalize them the way you like, okay? So let's get started. I think I've got everything in the frame here. I'm standing over it right now, and it looks like everything's in there. This piece of cardstock is just, it was a 9 by 12, so I cut it in fourths. So it's 4.5 by 6. It will be cut down eventually, is to fit the card, but or you could just go with 5 by 7 card and use this as the inside piece on it, but it's really up to you. I always just cut the paper in fourths because it's not enough that I'm wasting much anyway, so it really doesn't matter. The first thing that I did, and I kind of lied. I said I was going to use Distress Oxide sprays. I am, but I do not have this color in oxide spray. I just haven't spray stained, and I love this color and Scattered Straw to start my cards with, or my card fronts with, because it just gives a light color in the background, and then I'm going to go in and add some oxide sprays. And so I'm trying to kind of match the original card because that's the one people really have liked. And so I have Antique Linen, Shabby Shutters, Kitsch, I think that's how you say it, Flamingo, and Tumble Glass. That's what I'm going to use on this card. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do, oh, and also you'll need a handy dandy water bottle. All right, so what I do is I start by spraying on my glass mat over here some of the Antique Linen, just to do my background on my card, just to give it a base. And then I spray it with water, and I just like to, I guess this is a good word, sop up some of that ink color. And so if you've seen my video on ink smushing, which is, like 101 stamping, it's really not a big deal. This is basically what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to get some of this color up. I don't care if it leaves a pattern like this. That's fine with me. And then the important thing is to dry in between each layer, because if you don't, they're just going to get messed up. So let me dry this. I did save some steps, but some I'm just going to have to use the dryer and the heater and get it heat set. So give me just a minute. Roll that on there. And sometimes you'll want some paper towels around too. Sometimes you can just kind of dab up some of the really wet color just to help it dry faster. For the purposes of this video, that's what I'm doing. Okay, and then I'm going to clean up over here my little mess. Okay, and then I'm going to start with the next color. And you want a green color because of the leaves. So I'm going to start with green, and I'm going to mostly keep it on just one side. So I'm going to spray the green over here again, put some water on it, and I'm just going to get some of this green up. Again, I'm not going for anything in particular. If you don't like the way, like I'm not sure about that line right there, I might spray it with water just to get it to run a little bit and put a little bit more on. Okay. So there's some green on this side, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to heat set it again. If I don't dry in between, these colors are really going to run together. So that's why I'm heat setting it. Okay. Next color is, I think I'll do some of the Tumble Glass. It's funny, these things, they all spray kind of different. Some spray really wide, some spray more to a point. And I'm just going to put some of this blue color on there. And again, see, I don't care for that line down through there, but that's what, again, you can sprinkle it with water or just take a towel and get some of it up, because I'm just trying to get some of this color on there. Okay. All right. And I don't want it too dark, so I'm going to do that. Dadgummit. Y'all just saw me burn myself. I'm just keeping it real, people. Just keeping it real. I say this all the time. These are not professional videos. I do not get paid for this. So just keeping it real. That's what I get for laying the heat gun down where I grabbed it the wrong way. I need some lavender oil to put on that to make that feel better. Whew. These little things get hot. Okay, so getting the blue up there. And the last color I'm going to put on is some of the kitsch pink. So the first thing I'm going to do, if you can see, it's got some spots over here. I really want some of those spots as they are. Okay, well, they kind of smooshed, but it doesn't matter that much. And I'm just smushing, ink smushing, again, 101. Okay, let me pick this up the right way this time. See, there's really nothing to this background. It doesn't, you know, if I wasn't going to be doing this flower on here, I would be mixed media and this thing up. I'd be adding a whole lot of other stuff, and you can do that, okay? So that is how you start this process. All right, let me clean up this little mess again. If you want to add more colors to it, or color to it, or splotches of color, you can do that. One of the things I also like to do is I like to spray in my hand and just flick water on it like that, because I like to get some spots on it, because I am going to put black spots on it eventually, but I do like to also put water spots on it. So I just flick it with water, and the Distress Oxides work really well with this. Let it sit for just a minute, and then I come back and I try to take some of that water out, and then you can see it's got more spots on it like that. All right? Okay, so the next step in this process is you need your stamping platform. And I know mine is a mess. I didn't clean it up. But I'm not going to actually do this one all the way because the paper's still a little bit wet. You're going to want the paper to dry really good. But I want to show you how I lay it out, and then I'll show you one that's done, and then we'll work from that. So this stamp has been cleaned off. So what I would do on this is I really want these leaves. This is, believe it or not, was the green side. It doesn't look real green now, but I would lay this across here like this, and you're going to have to probably ink it 3 or 4 times because it's watercolor paper, and it just takes that many times unless you have a super duper juicy black permanent ink pad. So I would do this, and then I would put embossing powder on it and heat set it, and then after it's totally heat set, I would come back and I would try to lay this down here so that I get it kind of going all around here, and try not to cross this over where it was down here. It doesn't matter a whole lot if it does, but you just try to keep it away from it. So hopefully that explains it, but let me just show you now one that is done like that. So here it is. This is one I just prepared ahead of time so that I have the flowers going around like this. All right? And these are embossed with clear on black VersaFine. Okay? So we're going to work with this one. I'll save this one for something else. And the great thing about this Floral Trim stamp set is you have 2 that really work beautifully with this. So just going back to my other cards, so you can see this is not the one I'm using today. It's this one, but it's really pretty. And then this one is the one that I'm using today. Okay. All right. So next, we go to the next step. Let me put all this away, and we're going to use, as I said, the one that I've already prepared ahead of time. And the next step that I did on this was I took green, And all I'm going to, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint in all the leaves around it. So with that said, I'm going to get the Shabby Shutters. This is the Distress Spray Stain instead of the oxide. When you put oxide on top of oxide, it just, to me, it just doesn't, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not as bright as it would be if you just used Distress Spray Stains or even some watercolors that would blend with it. You can do that. So I just put some ink on my glass mat. I use this glass mat all the time for mixing colors. And I'm going to sit down now and start painting here. And so all I did is I went back and I found all the leaves on this. And sometimes you have to actually go back and look at the actual stamp, because sometimes it's a little questionable about what are leaves and what are not. These leaves are obvious, and you can see that I think I'm gonna make this a leaf. I think that's a leaf right there. Okay, and we're gonna go in here, and I just want to make sure I state this. This card was not my idea. Somebody named Wendy on the Tim Holtz Addicts site posted it. I just thought it was beautiful and thought, well, I'm going to try to copy that. And once you do that, then you can kind of get ideas to make other things. Sometimes I start with just trying to copy it, as close to as what they did as possible. And then I get with my good friends that I love to FaceTime with, and we start trying to come up with other ideas on things that we can do. So I've always said that if you find some friends that like to do this, it is a blast to just spend time Facebooking with them. I do it pretty much every week. I FaceTime with somebody, and it's just good because, I'm down here in this basement a lot, and it's just nice to have other people that like doing what you do to talk to, and I've made really, really great friends like that. So as you can see, the only thing I did is I colored in the leaves. Why just the leaves? I don't know. That's just what she did, so that's why I did it. This is when I said, let me change it up a little bit on one card, and I did this one, and you can see on this one, I colored in all the flowers and the leaves with blues and greens. So it's really up to you and what you want to do. That's just what I did on this one. The last thing I want to do on this one, because I don't think I did it ahead of time, was I wanted to flick some water on it and then see if I can make some spots, whiter spots on this. Let it sit for just a minute and soak up some of that ink. There, you can see I definitely did get some spots on it. And what I might want to do now that I've done that and I flicked water on my green is, I shouldn't have just wiped all that up. I might want to go back and just redo the leaves one more time. And my watch is ringing right now with my good friend Ginger Pelfrey, who I love to FaceTime with. Bless her heart, I can't answer the phone right now. So, Ginger, you're just going to have to watch the video and know that I was talking about you on it. Okay. I'll get her back in a minute. Okay. So that's it. The only thing that will be needed now is to let me dry it a little bit so it's not, when I flick black paint on it, to be okay. I'm going to splatter this with some black paint because that is a Lynn thing to do. I like to splatter. You don't have to. But a lot of people like to know how I splatter. And I'm just going to show that real quick, how you kind of have some control. Over the ink or the paint. Okay, that's pretty dry. So what I do is I take this is just an old clear block I pretty much only use it for doing this right here, splattering. And it only takes a tiny little bit of black paint. This is just an inexpensive craft paint you can get at the Hobby Lobby or Michael's or whatever. They're like sometimes $1 or something. And I always put a little bit of water on it, water it down a little bit. And the reason I like this block is because it has a really sharp edge on it. And then I just go down here and splatter where I want to. And I don't splatter where I don't want to. So I kind of keep it in this blank area over here. Okay? That's it. So the only thing that this card will need now is a sentiment. So I could do something like, I'm praying for you. You have filled my heart with great joy. You're a wonderful friend. I'm not sure which one I'm going to put on this. I've got several backgrounds here to make, so I've got extras. So once I let this dry, I will cut it down, pick some kind of a background for it, some color or white. What I did on this one, I do want to point this one out. If you look at this one, it has a tiny little black edge around it. What I did on that is I actually took my VersaFine ink pad and I went around the edge like this. I didn't go over it, I just right down the side, and it kind of came up over the top a little bit, and then I put clear embossing powder over it and heat set it to give it a tiny, tiny black edge. And that's what I did on that one, to tie all the blacks in there together. And then I just mounted on white cardstock. So I don't know what I'll do with this one. I'll post it on the Stamp or Swap site. You can go there and look at it. It's going to be similar, I'm sure, to all these others. But I do definitely want to do the ones that I did with the Nuvo shimmery powders, because they just shimmer. The other thing you can do with something like this, if you want to have a shimmer after it's done, is you can spray it with glimmer mist, and it would be really pretty. But that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in your comments if you did. And if there's something else you want me to try to video in all my spare time, that's a joke, let me know and I'll see what I can do, okay? Thanks for checking out the video. I hope you have a great day. Bye.